The officer who told a lie to obtain a search warrant failed her. The judge who signed the search warrant failed her. The terrorist who broke down her door failed her. The system as a whole has failed her. You didn't just rob me of my family. You robbed the world of a queen. A queen willing to do a job that most of us could never stomach to do. A queen willing to build up anyone around her. A queen who was starting to pave her path. I hope you never have to know the pain of knowing your child is in need and help and you're not able to give them. I hope you never hear the sounds of seeing someone cry and beg for your.
All right. That's how we're going to kick it off tonight. The world was robbed of a queen. Let's do a quick mic check. You there?
No.
Okay. All right. So we've done this before. This is a conversation we're having about Breonna Taylor and what does justice look like. Sky, I know you and I have had these conversations before. We've had, whether it's politics, race in America, you know, you and I have kind of had these conversations and just kind of went there, you know, where I may have a more liberal, you know, kind of, I guess, ideology or thought process to it. And you may take on more of a conservative stance in some instances, but it's compassionate in some instances. So where do we go from here? I mean, you know, the mother said that the world was robbed of a queen. And we've got some more. We can talk about Daniel Cameron. I got some video snippets on like the warrant and how the FBI needs to kind of investigate a little more into that. You know, so kind of quite a few areas tonight. And if there's anybody that would like to join the live, you're more than welcome. Just type add me and we will get you the link to join the panel if you have some discussion.
And can you add the YouTube link to the comments?
Yes, let me do that right now. While I'm working on that, I'll play the video about the warrant. Let's see what was said about the warrant. So we'll be right back.
That the evidence presented to the grand jury didn't include the process for the no-knock warrant served at her home the night she was killed. Markison says there are potential state violations there.
So it's surprising to me that they wouldn't examine that for purposes of, for example,
that the evidence presented to the grand jury didn't include the process for the no-knock warrant served at her home the night she was killed. Markison says there are potential state violations there.
So it's surprising to me that they wouldn't examine that for purposes of, for example, state perjury charges surrounding the affidavit that was executed to obtain the warrant in the first place. I would have expected, and I did expect, that that would be part of the investigation. And until any announcement is made by the FBI or the Department of Justice, those questions about how the warrant was obtained are going to remain and be very prominent in people's doubts about what happened. And if he didn't look into it, and then the Department of Justice and the FBI don't look into it, then essentially the process of obtaining the warrant will have gotten a free pass. So that's, I think, an important question that will need to be asked of the federal government. What did you do and how did you do it? What was the nature of your investigation and what did you find when it came to how the warrant itself was obtained?
The FBI investigation that's looking into any federal criminal violations surrounding Breonna Taylor's death is still ongoing. Markison says manslaughter charges were possible with the Attorney General's investigation because involuntary manslaughter involves wantonly causing the death of another person. According to Kentucky law, wantonly means a person is aware of and consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk.
What we really are wondering here, I think, is whether the prosecutor, whether the Attorney General's office presented to the grand jury the information that might support a second-degree manslaughter charge, and then let the grand jury decide whether to do so, or whether his office decided, we're not even going to put that before the grand jury because we think absolutely, without any question, that the officers acted reasonably, so there's no need to even put it before the grand jury. If he followed that course of action, I think it raises serious questions about the legitimacy of the grand jury's decisions, because they never had even a chance to look at whether the officers acted reasonably.
In Kentucky, a state law known as qualified immunity can protect government officials like police officers from civil liability in some cases. But Marcuson says there are limits to it when government officials like police officers act wantonly or recklessly.
If the standard was met, and if a jury could be convinced that they acted wantonly, they would not be able to use self-defense. That claim would lose, and they could also be then convicted of second-degree manslaughter. So that becomes the key question. The question everyone should be focusing on is, was there enough proof to show that either Cosgrove or Mattingly acted wantonly? And who made the decision that they didn't? Who made the decision that they acted reasonably? Was that the Attorney General acting on his own, or was that the grand jury having had the opportunity to make that call?
In Louisville.
Okay.
Hey,
So here
I
we
didn't
are about
realize.
that warrant.
Yes, warrant. Hold on one second. You can go ahead
No
and
worries.
lead the discussion.
Guys, if you have comments, you can post them in a comment. If you'd like to join the panel, just type add me, and we will try to get the link to you to be able to join the discussion. So yeah, that warrant, I feel like, says a lot. I mean, we need to understand where all this went wrong at. I mean, yes, we know ultimately the demise is Breonna Taylor. But I don't understand how it gets this far along in the process where there's clerical errors. There's people who signed off on these events and these actions that needed to take place. There's no knock warrant. And then it gets to the point where it's like they're at the wrong house. The person they're trying to apprehend is already in custody. So I just don't understand. And then, of course, fast forward months later, we're here at the grand jury, indictment, and it's like bullshit ass charges. Like, they get charged for the bullets that they missed, not the bullets that they got, that hit the target, which led to, the death of Breonna Taylor. So I just don't know. I mean, it's like, we've seen this before. It's like a sad, terrible, horrifying that one. So like, where do we go from here? I don't even know what justice looks like. The family got $12 million, and honestly, there's no amount of money that could put or replace the value of life. So let's be clear on that. I mean, to me, I feel like 12 million is just a small drop in the bucket. I mean, they could have did more if you ask me, but I mean, it's a start. And I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like the 12 million was just a soft blow because they understood what the indictment was going to be.
Right.
Or they had an idea. Well, based off what they presented. Let me be clear. Based off what they presented to the grand jury. Because that's another key part, too, that we don't know and don't understand because they haven't released the information.
Right.
So what do you think?
I think first we have to, one, move our emotions to the side and really look at the case for what it was. And stop. Well, I'm not going to say stop. We have to get out of this mentality where we are basing this case on emotion. And we have to look at the facts. They were investigating Breonna Taylor's boyfriend and her. If you look at the paperwork that was released, the court documentation, to obtain the warrant, the no-knocking warrant, Breonna Taylor was under surveillance. They put a tracker on her car, as well as her current boyfriend's car. They recorded conversations between her ex-boyfriend or current boyfriend that was incarcerated at the time. And so this notion that she was not involved, they didn't know who she was, uh, that's a false narrative. So yeah. And I'm not saying that to say that, what happened was not a tragedy, because it was. And it was extremely unfortunate. However, to keep acting like Breonna Taylor had no involvement into the investigation that was happening is just completely ludicrous. I think he froze.
You said to act like she had no and
to act like she had no involvement in this investigation, to act like she was not under surveillance, to act like she was not mentioned any of the paperwork in order to get the warrant, I think is completely ludicrous.
Okay. Okay, Sean says false narrative sounds like fake news. Okay. Oh, we got someone on the line too. I had Corey. He's also joined lives before. He wants to join real quick. I know that he was going to have a moment, so let's just get him on and see what he adds to the discussion.
Hi, Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. So initially I knew we talked, and I said I was going to jump on closer to 7:30, but when Sky was talking about the investigation, it kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit.
Yeah.
Only because if you look at the documents surrounding the warrant, they initially got the U.S. Postal Service involved through a third-party organization. So it wasn't actually the Louisville police. We don't know who the organization was, and they were supposed to be there checking on packages, checking for suspicious packages. And so they surveilled this lady's packages for however long, and the post office said there was nothing suspicious about what they see going in and out of her home. That's one. So, two, as you already stated, her ex-boyfriend was already in jail.
Right.
And then three, I probably can go to a million. Have you guys listened to the 911 call? Do you have that, Kyle?
I don't have the footage of the 911 call, but I listened to what it was transcribed in the article I read. And
yes.
so
listening, imagine this. Okay, we watched enough TV, right? And we know enough safety precautions that if the police were to kick someone's door in and shots were fired back at them, so do they just leave? Do they not secure everybody in the house to make sure there's no one else going to shoot at them? Like, how was it that he was able to call 911 and not know it was the police actually there?
Well, I don't think. Yeah, I get that. I don't think that was a false narrative. I believe that. Well, so let me be clear. Let's go back a second because so the warrant, the no-knock warrant, and previous dealings that Breonna Taylor has had with the police are two totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because her ex-boyfriend, to my understanding, has had dealings with a criminal past when it relates to drugs. Okay. And so there are court documents that list Breonna Taylor, meaning that they were tailing her, surveilling her, they were tracking her phone because of the association she had with her ex-boyfriend. So, I mean, I get that part, and I get where Sky is coming from, but again, it seemed like the new boyfriend wasn't about that life. He had no understanding of what was going on. So, I mean, right. I get that, but it's just like, even if Breonna Taylor did know that maybe they were on or were suspicious, because I think that the court documents I read, and I'll post some links here later in the comments, because there's been a lot of commentary in terms of what's been there, what's been going on, what's been said. I know that people have actually gone and pulled up the court documents to find out what was there. A lot of it is redacted, But yeah, okay. So let's just say, for instance, this isn't her first time with the law and running with the law. You know, again, we're not by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm speaking only for me, that we're not saying that because of whatever her past is or her associations are, that any of this is deserved. Because I know, Sky, you just come off the back, so I just want to make sure that's all of our understanding, or is
Right,
wrong,
right. And the reason I said that right off the bat, because I think a lot of folks are in the mindset is that you're either on our side or you're against us, or you think a certain way. And my thought process is kind of like looking back, and I don't jump in front of a lot of issues anymore because I find that a lot of times we jump in front of things and it's pure emotion, and then like we had egg on our face at the end once everything comes out. So I kind of just sit back and watch the process as it happens and try to come to a conclusion for myself. And not really look at the media and look at, the protests are going on. We have to look at the facts of the case and look at what's coming out from the courts. Whether we believe it or not, this is what was presented in court to get the warrant to the grand jury. We don't know what was presented to the grand jury right now.
What we do know is that the only witness that said that he heard the police announce himself was the only person that got to testify in front of the grand jury. And what we also know is that the brother, her boyfriend, is named Kenneth, released from jail after he allegedly shot a police officer with no charges. So there is obviously a cover-up in play.
Yeah, and there was a lot of pressure that was put on the police department to release him because, again, I think it was the 911 call that helped, honestly.
Me too. And they said initially that it was supposed to be a no-knock warrant, and then it was changed into a knock warrant. Like, these police, to me, it sounds like the police officers are trying to look for some stuff. How is it that it takes 20 minutes for a paramedic to get there? How is it but the paramedic was already there servicing a police officer?
Yep. And sent the paramedic away. And to my understanding, none of this is factual. I don't know. I have to do a little bit more research. But what I heard is that they listed that there were no injuries for any of the people in the house. So that meant Breonna Taylor, there was no injuries for her, but they sent the paramedics away. But these type of events, they automatically have paramedics on site because they expect it in some instances to go left because you're catching people off guard. So I don't know what to say.
I can't say that because I've seen as I drove through my neighborhood, the police surrounding the place, or the police is staking out something, and they don't have the paramedics on site. I mean, I don't think that they pour resources in like that to say, hey, we suspect somebody's going to get hurt here. I don't think they, take that into consideration.
Well, it sounds like they have to be aware of that. I mean, they know people are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what they're walking into. I mean, you could really be walking into an ambush.
Right.
I don't know. I think that
how can we believe what comes out of the facts throughout the justice system? And so I would like to think that in some ways our justice system works. I don't think any system is perfect, but I certainly don't live my life or walk around every day thinking that people are out to get me or that the justice system is out to get me. And this is coming from someone that has been incarcerated before, and I still don't think that way. So.
I'm with you on that, Sky. I don't think anyone actually thinks that. I mean, if there are people who think that, it's a small amount of people. But when things like this happen, and we see Ray Charles can see that there was a cover up, right? Ray Charles can see, and that is the reason why they fired these police officers, because they know at the end of the day what they were doing was unlawful. They couldn't back them.
And
I think we're breaking up. I'm getting feedback at least. Corey, I think we're getting back with you. I don't know if you can hear us. Yeah, we can't hear you, Corey. Corey, we can't hear you. So we're gonna disconnect and then just we'll have you come back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back because we can't hear him.
And I say that because right now, I think that emotions are so high that we want to believe in something. However, we tend to start to believe in the conspiracy theories of everything that happens.
But wait, not to cut you off. Is it a conspiracy theory though? Okay, so let's just say
this is not a conspiracy theory. However, I mean, right now we have folks talking, and this is going to go off the subject a little, but we have people talking about Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, this private jet with Jeffrey Epstein, this manifesto, and this, all this stuff that's coming out from these crazy news media outlets that people are taking and running with. And so, yes, there's a lot of distrust in our government. There's a lot of distrust in a lot of things. And as we look for things to trust and to believe in, we tend to latch on to things that makes us more comfortable. And I think believing that, you know, the justice system is corrupt, in certain aspects, I would say yes. But that's still no excuse for thinking that everything that comes out of the justice system is corrupt, because it's not.
Yeah, I don't think that, and this is just my opinion. I don't think everything is corrupt. I think that, in isolated situations like this, or at least the situations that get the title to right, George Floyd, we see the cover up happening, and we see the attempt to cover it up. So, is that not enough to go on to say that there may not be any justice for us ever? When police do wrong and they try to cover it up, I mean, where do we ever find a situation where someone is apologetic? Like, you know what, I did shoot and kill them, and I am very sorry. I'm sorry. Like, you know, Philando Castile. I watched him be gunned down. And I know that officer, I know that wasn't, I don't know. I feel like he reacted in fear. I know that wasn't necessarily an intentional action, but it was because, one, he's scared, and two, he's not even paying attention to the commands he's giving. Right. He told him to go reach for his wallet. He wanted to see identification. He wanted to see these things. And you turn around and shoot him because he does. Like, I just feel like at some point fear trumps rationale in a lot of these situations. And I don't understand why it's a thing where we're always to be feared, or we're to be scared of, or, you know, where does that come from? I don't understand it. You know, Black people are not monolithic, okay? Like, we come in all different shapes, sizes, we come in different attitudes, you know, and it's just like, why do we always have to be feared? Like, where's the justice at in this situation? That's what I want to know. And I get what you're saying about the narrative, and that maybe she wasn't completely innocent. In this sense, no more person they were looking for, they already had. And that doesn't justify what happened. You know, I feel like I want to say this too. I don't like the fact sometimes that when people pass, that they want to pick out the worst part of them. And we talked about this the other day. What was it you said? They show these pictures of these people as kids, but this is a grown man that did this shit,
right,
committed a crime, and
right.
You know, that's what you see on the media. And it's like, I mean, I get that. I understand that. I do get that, but these are still human beings, and I think that's what's missing sometimes, is the value of human life.
Right. I want to say this. I kind of share the same sentiment. You know, every day, not every day, just about every other day, you know, I'm texting my Sams which is my fraternity brother. He's a fraternity brother too. But I'm texting him because he's like almost like losing it, and he is having a hard time dealing with everything that's going on in regards to, the law enforcement and the black community and things like that. And I text him and I call him and I send him these short videos to remind him that we don't have to live our life this way. We don't have to live our life thinking that law enforcement is out to get us. And it touches on to the conversation you and I had yesterday, when I said that we have to remember that Rosa Parks was not the first black woman or black person to not give up their seat on a bus. However, Rosa Parks was the first to not give up their seat that had a clean background. And this is why they used her as the poster child for that movement. And so for right now, it just seems like everybody that is having some type of unjust contact with law enforcement, and they are senselessly killed by law enforcement, and they, after we see this and we hear about it, and we take to the streets, they bring up all this stuff about this person's background. That's really irrelevant. However, we are always getting behind folks that are in a commission of doing something to have contact with law enforcement. And so I say that to say that we probably need to start vetting the issues that we really start to tackle. Not to say that Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, all these senseless acts that were done out to these folks by law enforcement, it was not deserved. However, what made them come in contact with law enforcement in the first place that day? We have to think about that. And we have to take that into consideration.
So we have a comment. The talented 10th was not implemented to be lost. Fix it, Jesus. The talented 10th. And Sean, we need to get you on here. I know I sent you the info, so Sean will probably be joining us in a little bit. But, again, I get about law enforcement, but what can we talk about the people in our community? And I'm speaking specifically to the Black community. Now, I don't care what you want to refer yourself as, Black, African American, is it a true statement? Because I keep hearing this, and this has been going on for days. As it relates to Daniel Cameron, what is it they say? My skin folk ain't my kinfolk. All my skin folk ain't my kinfolk.
Okay, and so in saying it, and I told you this yesterday too, the speech that Tamika Mallory gave yesterday.
And we have it. We have it. I want to play it.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
You would okay. Hold on. Let me cue it up.
He mentioned at the press conference, which I thought was quite interesting, that he's a Black man. And as I laid and cried and hurt for Tamika Palmer and for Breonna Taylor and for Kenny Walker and for Janiyah, who we need to love up on, as I laid there and I thought about him saying he's a Black man, I thought about the ships that went into Fort Monroe and Jamestown with our people on them over 400 years ago. And how there were also Black men on those ships that were responsible for bringing our people over here. Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery.
She said it.
And helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them and to traffic them while our women were raped, while our men were raped by savages. That is who you are, Daniel Cameron. You are a coward, You are a sellout, and you were used by the system to harm your own mama, your own black mama. We have no respect for you. No respect for your black skin. Because all of our skin folk ain't our kinfolk, and you do not belong to black people at all.
All of our skin folk ain't our kinfolk. Now, I know we spoke about this, and I feel like you really felt some kind of way about this. And I get that when we have a difference of opinions, it makes it seem like we are not for the community. But this right here, I have to say, like, I feel like there was nothing done for Breonna Taylor at all. He came out speaking of himself. He came out, well, I'm a black man. I mean, we're like the first to, why throw that in there? It is obvious. It's clear. Is that to make some sort of connection that you feel what's going on? There's some empathy there. You understand what's happening? Because to me, you're just trying to lessen the blow of how you're being implicated in this. You're orchestrating this well. So this makes it seem as if, by me going out and making it seem like I'm a part of the struggle, it makes it seem like I'm not against it. And I feel like he's complicit in this. He's orchestrating this. These charges, this indictment, the information he won't release, it's clear whose side he's on.
So,
I know it's a lot to
Daniel Cameron, 34-year-old African-American Attorney General of Kentucky, recently elected in 2020, on the job a few months before this senseless killing happened. And just to put some stuff in context, when Obama was the president and Trayvon Martin was killed, he said nothing. He didn't say anything until his senior advisor told him, "We think you need to say something."
Who is this for? This is for who? Obama?
This is for Obama.
Okay.
Olivia, what was her name? Olivia Barrett? Was that her special advisor's name? She came out and said he needed to say something. And that's when he came out and did the speech and said, Trayvon Martin could have been my son. That's where that came from. But it was months before he said anything. The trial had even already happened for George Zimmerman. And so I personally think Tamika Mallory's comments in that speech are problematic. And are problematic and are going to be the detriment of the black movement, whatever that movement may be in the future, or whatever that movement may be now. Because whether we like it or not, Daniel Cameron is black. He's African American. Not only that, he's in a powerful position.
We do have another guest coming. I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay. And so to discount him because this didn't go the way we wanted it to go is not fair. He was not elected by Black Kentucky. He was not elected by white Kentucky or Latino Kentucky. He was elected by the entire state of Kentucky. Everybody there he represents.
He was elected by Republican Kentucky.
Okay, so we got Sean.
And there's Black Republicans also in Kentucky.
I'm very aware of them.
And so this notion that's already been out there with the Black Lives Matter movement, with a lot of these black activists, that if you are black and you're not with us, you're automatically Uncle Tom. It doesn't work like that. Because guess what? These Uncle Toms that they're talking about, they are the decision makers, not the people out on the street protesting. You need these people that are in office to change the law. And so you can't sit there and have a conversation with them and not be yelling at them and not calling them Uncle Tom. You will get nothing done.
Is that
so? Are you saying that? Are you saying that people who are the decision makers are pretty much Republicans, Black Republicans. So there aren't any Black liberals who are making any decisions, and we don't have people like. Okay, I just need clarity. That's
no. I'm saying that to go around and call other Black people that you don't agree with, call them Uncle Toms or whatever you want to call them, it's counterproductive.
Well, if the shoe fits, you can wear it.
And whether we like it or not, these are people that were elected to make decisions for us. And so if you want to hold them accountable, not only do you protest, but you vote. And realize when they get elected, if you cannot sit there and have a conversation with them. And we saw this with the whole George Floyd situation. We saw Congress doing photo ops, Miller and Kente cloths and all type of stuff.
Oh my God.
And we just knew.
I don't see.
We just knew law enforcement.
Maxine, Auntie Maxine, Uncle Tom, or Aunt Jemima. She's pretty much for the people. I don't see anyone calling her. She's a decision maker. She write laws as a Congress member.
They may not be calling her Uncle Tom on the news, but I'm pretty sure they call her one in the community.
Oh,
because remember,
Maxine
Waters started out organizing in Watts, down the street from my house. She now lives in Westchester, where all the little rich little white people live. And so I'm pretty sure some of those folks in Watts is calling her the same thing.
Oh, I don't think so.
But
I think they're calling her Auntie Maxine because they see that she's trying to get the unjust fix. I think pretty much. So I think there are leaders in this country like Maxine Waters who are trying to make a difference and for our community,
But I just want to know, why do they have to be decision makers because they're Republicans? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I didn't understand that either because there's liberals, there's plenty of liberals, Black liberals.
Well, no, I'm speaking from a place that when some of these activists tend not to agree with what's going on, and they see that Black people are on the side of a different part of the movement, and it's like, I haven't been out there protesting, and I'm not going to be out there protesting. But that doesn't mean that I'm Uncle Tom and I'm not for the Black movement. It's just that I'm not going to be out there protesting.
But that's not political.
And just because Daniel Cameron is a attorney general, in this case did not go the way that we wanted it to go, doesn't make him less Black than anyone else in this country.
But let's be clear. The way we wanted it to go, I think what we wanted it to be was to be fair, and what was presented wasn't fair. We don't know the whole facts or the particulars. He won't release the transcript. We don't know what he said to the grand jury, what case he presented. Was it about the holes in the wall, which got the wanton endangerment, or was it about Breonna Taylor being killed and that there wasn't enough evidence to convict officers? We don't know what happened.
My understanding is that if the city gave her family $12 million for a civil case, there's definitely some wrongdoing. That woman is no longer here. That's murder. That is murder. And if that charge wasn't put up against those officers and they gave them $12 million to pretty much shut them up, they should be facing murder, not any endangerment case that holds 1 to 5 years or 1 to 15 years. Yeah. No, that's murder, and they should be arrested for murder.
And so someone, I can't remember the exact quote, but someone posted this on it came across my Instagram timeline, and it kind of made me remember that just because something is wrong morally doesn't mean that it's wrong legally according to that particular state.
Right. And the same goes for things being done unethically.
Yeah. And so if you, like I said, if you really want to make a change, we have to have these Uncle Toms that's in the legislature and in Congress be able to have a conversation in order to change these laws.
But can we talk about moral?
It matches what I'm.
Wait, real quick, because we got to moderate this. I want to make sure we're not talking over everybody. In Daniel Cameron's case, is it not a thing where, okay, so morally I get it, but is it unethical for you not to present all the evidence?
That's very
So
unethical.
the reason prosecutors like grand juries is because they get to pick and choose what evidence they want to present. That is they do that in California, they do that everywhere that there's a grand jury assembly. This is not anything that's not
So
That's
would
because
you
of the
consider
charges.
that fair and just that they present what they want to present? Is that fair and just if they don't present at all? Where's the equality in that? Where's
if you don't think it's fair, the right thing to do is change the law.
Well, unfortunately, in Kentucky, which is a Republican red state, you can't pretty much change the law that easily. You would need to have more, if you wanted to change the state from another mindset, like a liberal one, like myself, you would need more Democratic or liberals in that state. So that state being controlled by Republicans, that's almost really skeptical. It's really hard to do something like that, correct?
It's hard, but it's not impossible. And I say that because I live in California. I live in Compton, California.
And you live in a liberal state and a liberal city.
A liberal state that had a Republican governor for 10 years. That had a Republican budget that Democrats were able to work with. And so,
well, you can't compare California to Kentucky. That's totally two different places.
I worked in red states. I worked in blue states. It takes a lot of work to change. You're right. And even now, this political season, I am running a few campaigns in some red areas in California. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible to win.
Oh, okay.
I just want to understand that I feel like I'm okay with Tamika's comments because those were personal and not political. And I just feel like
Tamika is speaking for that person who grew up in those hoods and ghettos, like they like to call them. She's speaking for her community, her African Americans, her Black people who have been going through unjust for years, for many, many years. And she is fed up like the rest of us. And she's just speaking her truth, which relates to a lot of us.
And they call Condoleezza Rice all the time, too, because she was a Republican.
They call who Uncle Tom?
Condoleezza Rice. Because she's a Republican and she's Black.
Oh, they did call Condoleezza Rice.
Tim Scott is an Uncle Tom, too, and he's a senator.
Who was that?
Tim Scott.
I feel like
Tim Scott.
Tim Scott.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that's okay. If you're Black and you're a Republican, that's just the go-to. That's just the go-to. I mean, I just feel like, sometimes we are our worst enemy when it comes to our community. And like I said, we're not monolithic. We are allowed to be a lot of other things. I mean, I have my conservative views about a lot of things, but I wouldn't call myself Republican.
Exactly. For years, I called myself a moderate liberal because there's many things that the Democratic Party, stand for that I may not particularly, that I don't, for just where I'm at in life right now. But there is no way
that another guest I'm adding in.
No way that I could be a Republican just for me, because I just can't fathom the morals of that party right now from 2016 on now. Their morals are totally against anything I stand for. So there's no way I could consider myself a red Republican. Not at all.
Ken, hey Ken, welcome. How's it going?
It's going good. You caught me at a bad time.
Well, are you celebrating the Eagles?
Heck no.
A tie?
What was you celebrating? I'm just curious.
Nothing. I was doing those.
Oh, the skim.
Yeah.
Oh, the beating. You are funny. So yeah, we're having a conversation. We're going there. I know you've been vocal about Breonna Taylor. Some of it I feel warranted. Some of it, it is what it is. I mean, it's everybody's opinions. I know you were very vocal about her civil attorney, and what you expected from him. And so we're just having a conversation about what justice looks like. We're talking about the difference between the African American community when it comes to liberals and conservatives, and what really prompted that was all skin folk hate your kinfolk. So
Well, they
I'm just
not
throwing
related
off
to
my
us by
shirt.
blood. I mean, that's the thing.
I
But
love
see,
it.
my problem with everything that's going on. I need a ponytail. Hold on. My problem with everything that's going on right now, it's very depressing, especially we are around, like, we are in an election year, and it seems like every election year, it always some type of something that's always, you know, this, turning black folks against each other, or is always something in the media that have to do with African Americans. And I know this is something that goes on in a daily, but I look at it as that we are protesting, we are marching, we are saying Black Lives Matter this, Black Lives Matter that. But what happens when this issue goes on in our own communities, when we're doing it to each other? And does Black lives still matter then? Philadelphia is almost like literally neck and neck with Chicago to be in the highest, murders, killings on a daily. And what happened for the marches for these innocent little kids that's on a porch playing and they get shot? Where they Black Lives Matter?
You know,
Where's
They
they
black.
march?
Their lives
we
do matter. Their lives
we,
do
we
Right.
matter.
talk, but we have talked about this, and I think I want to reiterate again. The reason there are no marches because 9 times out of 10 they find the culprit who shot or murdered their loved one. In most cases, in some cases they don't. But that is a problem that we face in our community. The problem is that these things are being captured outside of our community, and those are the people we are trying to be held accountable.
Well, listen to this one. I just watched Inside Edition last night, and it was a cop. He was a rookie police officer, haven't been on the force that long or whatever. And I think the lady, she called 911 because she passed out or something. So they were coming, and the dog started charging at the police officer. The police officer started shooting at the dog, but it was a friendly dog. He shot at the dog. He grazed the dog, but killed the woman that was sitting on the ground. Now, mind you, she is a woman of non-color. My thing is that this police officer, he resigned from the police force. Now he have all these criminal charges being brought upon him because he killed a white woman and grazed the dog outside in broad daylight. And
I
it's
mean,
been caught on his body cam. So you're telling me that a dog and someone that is of non-color, life is more valuable than us four men and other black men and women here in America?
Oh
Our
well, that's
lives, their lives are more valuable than mine. And
they
my whole
are.
thing is that I'm tired of it because I can't get emotional anymore. I'm not upset anymore because now it's starting to be like a ritual. It's like, oh, we didn't have a black killing by white cops. So I mean, like, we are anticipating on for something like this to happen. And and it's starting to be becoming too familiar now. It's like, how do we end this? When does this stop? And I mean, and to be honest, like, marching, it does something, but it's not going to do anything. They not even going to charge these police officers that killed this young lady. And then they trying to make it seem like she was selling drugs. It's like, what else can we do? Okay, get out and vote, but getting out and vote for the president is not really what matters. Voting in the I mean, like your local election, that's where we need to be doing. That's where we
mhm.
as a community
Right.
have lacked.
Right.
And we
Well,
have
I
grown
agree.
well,
tremendously
the thing
for the
is
past
with
8
that,
years.
Right.
with that, we need leaders in our community to reach out. We need to
Right.
go beyond just a presidential election. We need to vote for city council. We need to vote for mayors. We need to vote for ward leaders. Young people need to step
State
up. If you're
representative.
in your, and we need to be, we definitely need mentorship, because if all four of us have succeeded, or what we call, or some sort of success in our life, we need to pass that on to our youth.
Right.
If that's not done, this circle will continue and continue and continue. We have to jump out of that box and get on. I mentor, I haven't done it in a little bit, but I mentor so many young people and watch them grow from middle school, high school, until college. And
Me
that
too.
is what we need. We need black mentors. We lack that so much because a lot of our youth, they see things in their communities and think that is the way to go. That is not the way to go most of the time.
Well, whatever is on TV and whatever that is, that they are impressionable by, that is their mentors. That's what they gravitate towards. I see kids today when, I know all of us in here, we of a certain age, so we came up in an era where as though we was outside, internet and, all this other ratchet stuff. I mean, I ain't gonna say ratchet, all this unnecessary stuff we didn't have that. We actually went outside and played. We went outside and got dirty and got little cuts and bruises and carried on. These kids, they don't know what we went through. We watched Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and all this stuff on TV that educated us and entertained us as well. But these kids today, they don't want to do anything but just stay in the house. And if it's not what is they into Roblox and watching people play video games on YouTube, that's not something that interests them anymore.
I get what you're saying. I just think that I don't want to say you're passionate to feel how you feel, but I just think that you're focused on the wrong thing. Okay, the crime that happens in inner cities or our communities, they find the killers in most cases. They find the killers.
Well, not always, because every time you turn on the news, there's always a reward. There's a $250,000 reward for so many
I guess what I want to say
cases that they haven't found.
They hold us accountable. That's at the root of it. That's what I'm saying. They hold us accountable. So when they find us, if there's a tip, if there's a lead, if there's someone in the community who's willing to say, there's this no snitch community. People they live in fear. They want to talk. Some people don't talk. My thing is this: we are held accountable. I think that the focus should be on a system we did not create, but we are always having to engage in. Is this criminal justice system that does not hold people of non-color accountable? And who is going to do that? So, I mean, I get Guy's point. Like, I get Guy's point about, Uncle Tom's. And I wouldn't call them the decision makers, but
they're not. They're totally not. No, they're not.
I would say that it takes a community to do it. And I feel like we use politics to allow us to divide us.
Because guess what? Right now in Los Angeles, we have an election just like everybody else. And we have one of the most powerful positions on the ballot, and nobody's talking about it. The district attorney. And so when these black and brown folks started getting killed by cops in LA, and they wonder why law enforcement is not being prosecuted, this is their chance to make that change. And nobody's talking about that race. They're talking about Kamala Harris and her goddamn Converse she wearing goddamn skinny jeans. That's not important. And it's certainly not a reason to give her your vote. Because guess what? She was in that same position. She was in that same position that Daniel Cameron is in right now. And she did nothing.
Well, I just say that this election.
Well, Kamala was in the same position because she wasn't in Kentucky. She was in California, so that's not the same position.
But can we get back to Scott? What do you think?
I just want to say that California and Kentucky two different.
Okay, so how about here's another correlation. Oscar Grant was killed when Kamala Harris was the district attorney in the city next door. And you know what happened to those cops? Got off. When she was attorney general, she didn't prosecute not one cop. Not only that, she didn't prosecute any of her deputies that were found to have lied in court to put people in prison.
Well, I mean, I have my little hangups about Miss Kamala Harris. I actually met her when she came here to Philadelphia, like last week. I
Did you
mean,
feel like? Did you
I,
feel
I
it was that
I
big?
mean, I'm just saying that I can't do another 4 years of Donald Trump. I just can't. You can put anybody in office. You can put
Right,
freaking Oscar the Grouch
right,
and Big Bird and them in office. I cannot do
right,
Trump for another 4 years.
right.
And I'm not going to see. And that's what one thing is that I think in our community, in the African American community, we need to stop waiting every 4 years to keep on saying, "Oh, this election is a crucial election. This election is." I have to cuss the people out because every day, hi, I'm calling for X, Y, and Z. Do you know? I'm like, look, I'm registered. I'm voting in November. No, I don't want to do an absentee ballot. I want to stand in line and I want to vote. Well, you know, you can. I understand. You called me 10 minutes ago. It's starting to get overwhelming now. My whole thing is for somebody that's like me, they maybe get frustrated. You know what? I'm tired of calling. I'm tired of texting. I'm tired of emailing. I'm tired of getting this stuff in the mail all day, every day. I'm not voting at all. Y'all stressing me the hell out. And this was turning people away. It's like overwhelming.
Well,
And you're
unfortunately, we have low voter turnout, and that's why those things have to be done. And we
Well, we
couldn't
should
just
not
make.
be waiting every 4 years because you know what? Because now every um, um, person, man and woman that's in politics, that's in some type of office, they are campaigning their asses off because it's re-election time for a lot of them. My whole thing is y'all should not wait until re-election time to come out here to be campaigning to get people to come out and vote. Because if you've been doing your job for all this time, you wouldn't have to keep on persuading the people every election year, oh, vote for me. I'm going to do this, but you ain't doing nothing when you're in office. We just had the man right here in the city of Philadelphia. I think he was the president of our treasury or whatever. He just got indicted for embezzling money. A black man. I'm like, y'all cannot do what these white people doing. My grandmother is retired from the city of Philadelphia law department, and she said that if you cannot eat it, if you cannot drink it, you cannot take it. And they up there taking bribery, taking money, taking gifts, and they all getting caught up.
But
Well,
your answer,
I wouldn't say that just black. I mean, a lot of politicians do it on both ends, on
Right.
Democrats and Republicans. So that's just a part of crooked politics, which
but
you'll see that in every party and every race.
but you're answering your own question, Kenny. Like being held accountable. That's what you're failing. The piece that you should be thinking of is accountability. These politicians that steal or embezzle or whatever fraud, they get held accountable. The problem with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and all these other situations is that there's
But they'll
no
cast.
accountability. And then people we elect who to do the utmost ethical, have the most ethical type of business model, they don't. They don't. I don't know what he presented to the grand jury. We still waiting to find that out. But I'm inclined to believe that they didn't even mention Breonna Taylor because they had
My thing
already
is that has anyone seen this grand
friendly
jury?
fire.
Has anyone seen this grand jury or know what the racial makeup of it is?
No, I
it's
haven't
the
heard.
racial makeup is probably the voters of Kentucky.
Well, clearly, I'm talking about how many members that were on that jury, and how many were of African American descent, how many were of white angle Saxon Protestant descent, or I just was curious about that pretty much. If anyone saw that, did anyone see that?
I didn't see it.
I haven't
Okay,
seen
I'm
it
sure,
yet.
I'm
and
up there trying to pull it up
I
now
do
and
know
see.
that it is made up of the
Well,
it's supposed to be made up of the peers,
Right.
Jury of the peer.
yeah, but we all know how
well,
that goes.
listen,
And
we got
our good old American fair and just system, we all know how that goes.
I'm glad
Maybe we don't all know.
I'm glad I got my cocktail ready.
I'm going to
This
speak for
right
myself.
here.
I know how that goes. Yes, I know how that goes.
So look, I got another video. DL Hughley had some comments. This should be about maybe 2 minutes.
I know he's about to be hard.
D.L. Hughley, he's
Well, CC
guys,
Wine is too.
what? See, here we go. I mean, I'm disappointed, but again, this is these people's opinion. I mean, are we treating her like Chrisette Michelle?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. She's the Chrisette Michelle.
Well,
She's
I
the new
don't think
Chrisette
that
Michelle.
DL needs to stick to comedy.
But listen,
She
okay,
is the
so
new CC Winans is the new Chrisette Michelle. Bye,
no,
girl.
she's the new Tina Campbell from Mary Mary.
She's her
Remember,
too.
Tina
Bye,
said
girl.
that for you.
Bye, girl.
Tina tried to backtrack.
Nope,
And
you're done.
Cece
She's done. Cut it out.
tried to
Cut
cover up
it
her
out.
suit on Instagram, talking about something she was asked by the Attorney General
No,
to
she's done.
do this X,
CC's
Y, and
done.
Z. Now you know, come on, CC.
She go find BB and go sing Trump his farewell. That's what they could do. They could
But
sing
I
at
think
Trump's farewell.
I think it's not fair. I think we
Scott,
should
what you
be
think about that
throwing.
singing at Trump's farewell?
Well, you know, we can't all get an
Who?
attitude
Chrisette Michelle?
at everybody black who is a Trump
Chrisette,
supporter
CC, and
because I
BB,
mean,
whoever. The girl
well,
from
BB and CC, they rich. They in a whole different tax bracket.
Are they really though?
I
guess
wouldn't consider them. I don't think they're rich. I mean, they might be of certain class, but I don't think like
everybody
they're rich.
living in Atlanta.
They live where?
Atlanta. That was a little.
Well, you know, a mansion in Atlanta.
So
never mind.
So you guys are saying that BB and CC are singing at Trump's farewell.
Well,
no,
not
they
I can't.
CC.
I said they could sing at his farewell.
Oh,
Well,
he's not
he
going
ain't
nowhere.
Going anywhere. He ain't going.
He's
anywhere.
not.
Oh my God! All right,
because guess what?
Guess
for some reason, Scott, your thoughts. I just somehow just knew that you were a Trump supporter, and I was just trying to bring it out.
I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not supporting Trump.
Are you a Republican?
You're telling people to exercise.
No, let me tell you why Trump is not going anywhere. Because just like every 4
people
years,
like you are going to vote for him.
No, I'm not voting for Trump. Every 4 years, when it's time to elect a president, you know, we get on the phone every year when I'm calling people saying, "Hey, remember, because I am very active in my community, and I not only walk for candidates I believe in, but I also donate money to help them win." The excuse that we get every year, every 4 years, or every time an election is coming up on election day, we go on to vote as soon as these Lakers go to commercial. And guess what? The polls be closed. Or I forgot to go vote.
So who are
I got
you
my ballot right
for?
here. I'm gonna put it in the mail.
Scott, who are you speaking for?
That's the excuse.
Well,
who are you speaking for, Sky?
I'm speaking for the people that I'll be calling.
Well, can I ask this question about voting? Okay, so you know we want everybody to register to vote, and you know you have a choice. You could be Democrat, Republican, or you could be a registered independent, or whatever the case may be, Green Party. So why do we get offended? Or I ain't gonna say we because I don't, but you know why do we get upset when a black man or a black woman said that they are a registered Republican? You know,
I get upset.
like you said, go vote. So in my right, why do I have to vote what you want me to vote?
I have several friends and a couple family members who are registered Republicans, and I don't get upset because that's their choice. You have a choice to do what you want to do, and you know I can't speak on that. And maybe you know what? Let me backtrack. Pre-2016, those Republicans, if you wanted to vote for them, that's fine. If you wanted to vote for Bush, if you wanted to vote for who else was in there, the other Bush or whoever, that was fine. But now with this guy that we had in there, when he is just totally ignorant and treats our people with no respect and says anything and everything out of his mouth, and it's just ignorant, I do kind of have a problem for if a black person is going to vote or support him with that, because pretty much what I interpret is that you agree with the dumb shit that comes out of his mouth, the dumb shit, like
or you can kind of think about it that some black people or some black and brown people that choose to vote for him are voting for him because it's personal. And when I say personal, maybe Kamala Harris locked their ass up, locked one of their family members up. I know for a fact that I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for Biden, but just to make myself feel a little bit better, I'm crossing her name out on my ballot. She will not get my vote.
But what does that? What? Okay, so Scott,
It makes me feel a little better.
Scott, you're still voting for her.
Wait, but let me.
I just want to let
It
you
makes
know.
me feel a little better.
You're still going to vote for her.
I get that, but Sky, you also say you need to exercise your vote as if you say Trump is still the option. I know that we know that there are Republicans and people vote for who they want to vote for, but it's clear that as a community, I don't care who you are. At some point, it all applies to us. Whether you're wealthy, poor, middle class, it all relates to African Americans at some point where we are disadvantaged. At some point, you might have money, but your grandparents may not. They may depend on Obamacare that they're trying to stop.
Going back to my last statement about voting, for Republicans and my family members. In Philadelphia, we had what was he? City council, or was he?
Oh, you live in Philadelphia?
Yes, Arlen Specter.
Oh yeah.
Specter, yeah.
He was a registered Republican, and every Democrat in Philadelphia voted for him. Every single one, and he won year after year after year after year until he said, "You know what? Fuck it, I'm just a Democrat," and changed his party, and then became a Democrat. So but it didn't matter if he would have changed. He still was a Republican. People would have still voted for him because he did what was right, just, and fair. But this guy that's in the White House, he's terrible. He is. Absolute.
But this is before our time, Sean. Remember? Well, you don't remember, but we know Frank Rizzo. All black.
Well, he was a Republican. He was a Democrat that was a fucking racist.
And he's Republican. Frank Rizzo was a Republican.
I think Frank was a Democrat.
He was a Republican.
Was he?
And he was the mayor. And my grandmother.
He was the mayor, and he was the police chief. Yes.
Right. And my grandmother even said, she said when she was working for the city, and and when he was the mayor, she said we had raises, we had good money. Oh, y'all done cooked Sean off?
No, I think he dropped off. But go ahead.
He got tired of it.
He'll jump back on.
Oh, when he was here, the streets of Philadelphia was safer. They did do the stop and frisk, but it was a lot going on. But it wasn't a lot of crime and stuff.
But you got to think about what does safer mean. Does that mean that there's less black population? See, I feel like there's code in everything.
I mean, it's like there's no violence and stuff out there on the streets. I mean, it's crazy outside.
What stopped that? The black people that they locked up?
What'd you say?
I said, what stopped the crime? What does that mean?
Rizzo, because from what I was understanding, Frank Rizzo, he was down with the stop and frisk. So if he stop you, frisk you, you got drugs or whatever, gun on you, he locking your ass up and taking you to jail.
I had to do a little fact check, Kenneth. He was actually both. He changed his party, but he was a Democrat and changed over to Republican.
I could have looked that up. I know Kenny got a tablet over there.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting up there. Look, I was trying to find the people for Breonna Taylor, but they not even showing the people on the thing.
All right, listen. I'm gonna play the video. Take a break. Grab a snack. Come right back.
I need another.
So the verdict was handed down in the Breonna Taylor case, as such as it is. It is wanton endangerment, which is right above hunting without a license. It was interesting that Daniel Cameron, who is the first black attorney general of the state of Kentucky, spent more time explaining basically himself and explaining the things that affected him rather than to tell us what happened. He talked about how there are going to be celebrities who've never lived in Kentucky who will make judgments. Really? Is the predicate that you have to live somewhere to make a judgment? Does Sean Hannity live in any of the places that he derides? Does Donald Trump live in Seattle or Kenosha or Los Angeles or any of the states that they deride? Did Kyle Rittenhouse live in Wisconsin when he went there and murdered people? So is that the predicate? Daniel Cameron spent more time giving a speech than those officers will do in time. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I will say this. Judas Iscariot sold out Jesus Christ for 30 talents of silver, and Daniel Cameron did it for $12 million. And I'm telling you, you can say whatever you want to say. Any elected official, particularly the first one, who is the attorney general of a particular state, has higher aspirations. If those aspirations rely on keeping the population, the people that put him there, pleased. How unpleased would they be had they decided to indict these officers? It was a placatory gesture given to us in blackface, and we're supposed to take it. I knew that this would be the case. When I saw that dude shining at the RNC, I knew what would happen. I knew what would happen. This is a black woman whose life was taken. We saw people wear T-shirts. We saw people march. We saw athletes talk about it. It was on social media. The world talked about it, and they still did what they did. You ever notice how black people are always the number one suspect in their own demise? And we're supposed to. He talked about the grand jury being a jury of our peers. You know why? They're in secret because they know they're not. They're in secret because they know they'll do things to preserve this air of white supremacy that they're not going to be popular explaining. They do it in secret because they know that's how they keep this thing this way. It was given to us with a black face. And what makes me the saddest of all, is that all of this woman was on Vanity Fair. You know how many accomplished black women can't get on Vanity Fair? How many people have lived lives and can't get on Vanity Fair? She was on Vanity Fair because of the way her life was taken, and it did not matter. It didn't matter that the world was watching. It didn't matter what people thought. It didn't matter that people marched. It didn't matter that they screamed. It didn't matter they did it peacefully. It didn't matter at all, because this die was cast from the moment she was born and the moment those officers swore and picked the badge up. This already was going to happen. One of the police officers said that in an email a little while ago, about a week ago, that they had did the ethical and moral thing, because it is ethical and moral to shoot into a house and murder a black woman or murder anybody. This is the constant thing. This is, the more things change, the more they stay the same. What makes me sad is that we have not found a way to protect our women. It is our constant burden, and it is a constant slap in the face. You could be home like Botham Jean. You could be home like a Tatiana Jefferson. You could be home like Breonna Taylor, and they can still take your life with nobody being pot to account for it. And do not anybody tell me about how black on black crime, because those black men who kill other black people, they don't have a system in place to protect them. They don't have a system in place that looks the other way while they do what they do. They are oftentimes tried and jailed. This man probably would do very little time, and this district attorney who acts like it was only in the pursuit of justice that he was after, it is not. He clearly had a political agenda, and that agenda is to be governor and possibly even higher officers. And you don't do that by giving black people justice. You know it, I know it, and he knows it. Now, I can't tell you what is in his heart, but I can tell you what is in his action. I can say this, that Daniel Cameron, I hope that you get everything you want. I hope that the marriage that you just had and consummated lasts a long time. I hope it bears you many children. I hope you have the career that you want. I hope that they live long, healthy lives. And I hope that nothing ever happens to one of those black children. And I pray that if something does, that they don't look to a man like you for justice. That's a little note from the GED section. We got a jazz report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.
Wow. That was a lot.
Yeah, this is coming from the man that was giving a whole audience COVID-19.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
something happened with mine where I wasn't able to hear it all. But what I will say, Dale Hughley is a bad actor, a bad comedian, and he is a bad activist. And I'll say that I definitely do agree with his thoughts and feelings on this. But my concern with him and a lot of black activists is, if you're going to be a black activist, you have to be a black activist for all blacks. And that's just my concern. So and he has said he was seen several times talking about black gays and the community and the LGBT community with blacks, to where I totally disagree with him. So if you're not going to be a black activist and represent all blacks, you're not a black activist to me. So that's what I see.
I agree, because he has said a lot of transphobic,
a whole lot
remarks, and it's a lot.
And I agree with Sean. I've never liked D.L. Hughley as a comedian. I don't listen to him as an activist. I don't take any of his advice I don't even know how to get to his damn. Was this a radio show that he has or something like that? I
He
don't.
has a syndicated radio show. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't even know where to find it. That man irks my nerve.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're talking in circles about people having the freedom to vote for who they want,
And
but in the back of our minds, we still feel like they Uncle
and so
Tom.
Well,
this is
I'm going to say it again. If you're a black and voting for Trump, yes, I feel some type of way because of the things that he has done and said about the black community, and when black people would go and protest at his uh, rallies, his KKK rallies, and how
Oh,
he would get them beat up and kicked out and punched and all types of stuff. So yes, I feel if you're black and you vote for Trump, get out of my face. I have nothing to do with you. I'm done. Bye, girl or boy.
But I was a Trump. Now hold on, don't quote me on this. I was a Trump supporter. I used to love Donald Trump before presidency. I used to like
Okay.
him on The Apprentice.
because he's not a politician.
He's
Right.
an entertainer, exactly, and that's okay.
He's
That's
Exactly. So
never
okay,
my
been a
Kate.
whole thing
That's
is
politician.
okay to
he
like him as an entertainer, but not to be the leader of the free world.
and he
That's not
doesn't
okay.
even know how
No.
to be a leader. He doesn't have an ounce of clue about anything
right.
political of the United States. He didn't even know he didn't even know Puerto Rico was a part of the United States. He said, "Oh, we gotta get in contact with the president of Puerto Rico for the
Oh, listen,
Crickets.
hello, you're the president."
do we feel like the family needs more support, or like where do we go with this? Like,
For
I
who,
know the
Breonna
FBI.
Taylor?
Yeah, I know the FBI is looking into some things in terms of the warrant and just making sure there was just no, I guess, improprieties with
I
some of the case. But what more support could the family use right now?
honestly, I've moved on. Um, and I moved on because I don't see a movement that's going anywhere around this. Um, I can see if we made a drastic change, in this election, and maybe we, pick up some ground. But if we continue to advocate and protest the way that we're doing, we're going to get the same result.
I
But
You
that
know,
doesn't
disagree.
help. I
I
feel
don't.
like that doesn't
So,
help.
Sky, you're saying you've moved on from Brianna, and what about the rest of the people who were dealing
I
with?
moved on. I've moved on, and when I say I moved on, meaning I don't keep this on my mind. This doesn't sit heavy on my mind every day like that. And I'm not going to allow it to, because I still have a life to live. I still have expectations of myself and to my community, and so to allow these events
Now, Sky,
to drag me down, because
you.
I know, and also this, I know for a fact that the system can work,
So, Sky,
and you can make that
you
system
said
work.
that you live in Watts. Is that correct?
Now I live in Compton.
Oh, Compton. What's the percentage of racial makeup in Compton? Probably about
Compton
80,
right now is 80% Latino, actually.
80% Latino. Okay,
80%, well, 70% Latino. 70%
and the
Latino right
30 or the rest is
now. African American. And
okay.
like I want to say like 2% white. There's still white folks that live here.
So your community is based on minorities, correct?
Yeah, and Compton has been in the news quite lately about, the sheriff department having gangs in their department and things like that. The mayor has mentioned that, she's been
So
pulled over.
you just stated that you have to deal with your community, right? So you don't think your community is dealing with these racial injustices that is
I, I
plaguing
think they
America,
are, but
United States of America?
I think that they do deal with racial injustices. But in a community like Compton, I'm more concerned when I walk out of the house and my neighbor's going to kill me versus the sheriff.
Okay.
I feel the same way too, Scott. But I mean, and that
So
I feel if I walk out, I feel sometimes I feel like if I walk out of my door that I have a Lord keep me covered, but I feel as though that I will be a target more for someone in the community
That looks
try
like
to
you.
rob or kill me, then an actual Philadelphia police officer would sit up there, shoot, and kill me. And I mean, and that's just a true statement.
Well, I have a comment that someone sent me a message. They didn't have time to join, and it was a lot to put in a message, but I'd like to read their message, or their comment. It says, please say this for me. The issues with Miss Taylor's case are abysmal. The system and its laws were constructed to be against Black and brown people. However, Black women are treated the most horrific. What needs to change is where the money goes. Our attitudes towards our attitudes towards other Black and brown people. Stop the petty and violence against Black and brown people. No more sexism, classism, colorism, and even racism amongst our own and towards our own. We can we can create our own laws and governments to uplift us, so that there won't be another Breonna, Sandra, Philando, or Trayvon. We as Black people need to cater to our own mental illness so we can bond together and rise together, and not for selfish reasons. Educate so that no other Black person can say voting doesn't matter. And I'll leave it at that, King. Yep.
That was a nice response.
And so, piggybacking off that.
I was about to say,
What
Scott, you
what
gonna
what I
piggyback off.
what I would want to have seen was Tamika Mallory come out and say, "Hey, this did not go our way, Daniel Cameron. Can we sit down and talk about what happened? What was presented at the grand jury? Instead of going out on national TV telling this man that he don't like his own Black mother. That's no way of bringing both sides together."
But
But it's
Scott,
not about
it's not about that, Scott. But you have to think this system has been fucked up for so many fucking years. I'm sorry that I'm going this way. That people are tired. They are fucking tired of the shit.
The system.
So we're not going to continue to sit down and talk and working out. And no, fuck that. We are tired.
This man just got elected to office.
But no, hold up.
Tired.
Let me say this. The system was never made for Black men and women. When they had made this Constitution say for liberty and justice for all, when they made that, we were still slaves. So how can justice be for all when Black men and women were still enslaved?
How about that one?
So and then hold on, Kyle. They have to go and they have to vote. What is it? How many? I don't know. I forgot how many years they have to go and vote for Black people, and women can have the right to vote. So what about if they go in and say Black people don't have the right to vote? We already don't have justice. So we at this point right now, where as though that we may not even have the opportunity to be able to vote anymore.
Can I say that?
Trying to make it so, but we won't come out and vote. They taking mailboxes off the corner. They closing down polling places. It's going to be crazy. And you got Black people already set in their ways. I'm not voting. I'm not voting because Kamala Harris is on the ballot, because she did what she did to Black people. I'm not voting because I don't like Joe Biden. I'm not voting because my vote don't matter. I'm not voting because I don't see things not changing. So people set in their ways. And
Listen,
I mean, it's hard.
I understand that, but can we please realize that language is important, okay? And what we say, language. No, what is important? Language. I'm not talking about cursing. I'm talking about the things that we put into the atmosphere that become intentional. So when we say, Sky, what's problematic for me is when you say Daniel Cameron. Tamika could have went to Daniel Cameron and said, "Oh, this isn't what we expected," or "This is not."
No.
It didn't go in our favor, or "This isn't how we expected it to go."
No, we're tired of that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No,
this is all a part of God's plans.
Let me get my point out. I think what everybody wants is for it to be fair. That's what that means. Not we didn't want it. Not it didn't go the way we wanted it to, or now you're a coon now because you're not for the people. The problem was you weren't ethical. There's no fairness in this.
So
You had an
I
opportunity.
I,
And you
I, I
didn't
said
use it.
I said that as a place we are supposed to be trying to unify. We have to unify the black community in order to make a change. We can't continue to have this. Oh, you're
We're
Uncle
not the
Tom if you're not on the
problem.
street. It didn't go our way. You're Uncle Tom. Instead of coming together and say, look, how can we talk and come up with a solution to solve these problems?
Because the
Look, if I was Daniel
conservatives,
Cameron,
listen, because the
look,
conservatives are trying to paint this picture that Breonna Taylor was not a princess. No one
so
gives a fuck about
no,
what
no,
she
no,
did.
no, no.
So
So,
I get it.
so this is on the Daniel Cameron tip. Now, if I was Daniel Cameron personally, if Tamika Mallory called me on Monday, it'll be click. So first of all, you'll try to talk mess about
Now
me on
why
TV,
now why
but
won't Daniel
then
Cameron reach out to her? Or
because
any other
he's the top cop in the state, he don't need to reach out to Tamika Mallory.
Tamika Mallory
She,
doesn't live
she
in Kentucky.
right, but she wants to be. She's the face of it. She's trying to
She's
be
the
the face
face
of this
of what?
movement.
She's
Whatever
the
movement
face
they have
of
going on.
she's the face of the average no, excuse me. She's the face of she's a black activist and she's the face of that right now. So she
And so
speaks
they're using
on
her as the
different
face.
she
Give me 1 second.
speaks on different events that happen throughout the country. She isn't just the face of Breonna Taylor. She's spoken on so many different events that has happened to us and with this
I
whole
think that you get more done, and if you're able to sit down and have conversations.
no,
And,
So
and I
my
and I
question
truly
so
is,
how long, Scott, how long are we supposed to have these conversations? Were we supposed to have them during slavery? Were we supposed to have them during the Reconstruction period? Were we supposed to have them during the
we're
Civil
not
Rights
having the
Movement?
conversation.
Like, how long are
But
we supposed to continue to have these conversations? It's been
that's the problem.
over 400 years of
That's
injustices to blacks. So
that
what do
is the
we
problem.
continue to sit down and talk?
Look,
People are tired of
That's
talking.
let's break this
that
down.
is the problem. We're not even sitting down and having the conversation.
Let's
And
break
and
this down.
I can take this all the way back
So,
to
Scott, do you think
what
they never had conversations? Dr. Martin King had conversations. Jesse Jackson has conversations. We had people like what's his name? My brother with the slick back. I can't think of.
Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton had conversations. Yes, like their conversations have been held. People
so
are tired of these conversations. This isn't nothing that we just woke up to in 2020. This has been
no,
going
I
on
get it.
for years.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Let's go back to Tamika's comments, and then Scott will return comment when we come back.
Tamika.
He mentioned at the press conference, which I thought was quite interesting, that he's a black man. And as I laid and cried and hurt for Tamika Palmer and for Breonna Taylor and for Kenny Walker and for Janiyah, who we need to love up on. As I laid there and I thought about him saying he's a black man, I thought about the ships that went into Fort Monroe and Jamestown with our people on them over 400 years ago. And how there were also black men on those ships that were responsible for bringing our people over here. Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery
She said it.
and helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them and to traffic them while our women were raped, while our men were raped by savages. That is who you are, Daniel Cameron. You are a coward. You are a sellout. And you were used by the system to harm your own mama, your own black mama. We have no respect for you. No respect for your black skin. Because all of our skin folk ain't our kin folk. And you do not belong to black people at all.
No lie in that.
Those are some strong words.
Very strong.
You know,
And there was not no lie, all truth.
But the thing, I feel like that
hold up.
political that was more of a personal from this has been personal. All of this is
That
personal.
She told
Well,
no lie, not
honestly
one.
saying is that we need to stop calling everybody outside of our blood family and stop calling everybody aunt, uncle, cousin, sister, and brother and deal with our own mess in our own family and get our own families in order before we start claiming everybody else. Just because that we're all black doesn't mean that I have to call you bro, cousin, aunt, uncle, sister, brother. Because soon as Kyle, Sky, Sean, or I do something wrong that you don't like, 9 times out of 10, you're going to turn around and go say, you know what, Kenny was a liar. Sean is a thief. Kyle is a punk. Sky is a whatever a murderer. So we're
Excuse
going to
me?
turn our
A
back on
punk.
them. So my whole thing at the end of the day, I don't claim nobody if
Right.
you don't got no blood running. If we don't share the
Right.
same blood, I don't claim nobody. You know, we
Right.
all brothers and sisters in
Well,
Christ,
well,
but
you
you are
not
not my
claiming
family.
anybody. That's and I get it, but that's the problem. When I was in school, I used to have that same mindset, and one of my fraternity brothers came up to me and said, "Sean, all you want is your single single home with a white picket fence around." And at that time, I think I probably that's what I wanted in life. But after that, I thought about that, and it changed. We are only as strong as our brothers and sisters. We have to help others get to there, and we have to unify. Unification is the only way that we're going to get out of this issue that many issues that we have. So if you only worried about yourself, that's a problem. We have to worry about all of our community, all of them. Because if you don't, we're just going to everybody just going to be worried about themselves and self will become self-centered. We have to worry about those people who don't know how to get there, who don't
Well,
know
if you
how.
can't help, you can't help those who don't want to be helped. And the same way
Yes, you
how
can.
the same
Yes, you
way how
can.
this PUA money came out, and everybody was sitting around here, and they had this little straight up come up, and they didn't do nothing with their PUA money but run to the mall
Right.
and buy up Gucci and Louis, and then you can't
Right.
Do
pay
you
your
know
bills and
everyone
your
who
rent.
received that PUA? Are you 100% sure that's what they did with it? Some people
I
had mortgages that they had to catch up
well,
on.
I'm talking
Some
about the
people had to pay
ones
back
who
rent.
well, a lot of them did because they were surely up at King of Prussia Mall, and I have never seen Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all
Hey.
them stores.
But that's a generalization. Listen, I want to make sure that we're clear
That's that's
that
that's a stereotype to
yeah,
Well,
no,
limit to
but
that.
it's a
yeah,
Because
fact of what I
well, not
see.
a
You did
stereotype,
not
but
see.
you don't know what everyone did. That's like Kyle said, a generalization. You can't speak for every single person who receives PUA money. I didn't receive any, and I might have been in that store buying Louis
Well,
or
you don't
Gucci. That's
receive.
because of
You
my
didn't receive.
hard work.
oh,
If you
thanks,
didn't
Lou.
apply for it, you don't get it.
And she got a Trump sign.
Who?
Misty Flower Shelter.
Yeah,
She a
she
Trump.
does it.
Oh, oh.
She does. She's one of my non-melanated, Anglo-Saxon friends. I met on vacation, and we've always stayed in touch. But she's cool.
I mean,
She's
look.
cool.
I mean,
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
I
who
yeah,
she
yeah.
want to
and
vote
I've had
for. That's who she
and
want to vote for.
I've had to let go a lot of people. Well, listen, this has been I feel like this has been a real hurt piece mentally than it has been physically. There's been a lot of people I've had to cut off because
Exactly,
they're not
more Joyce. Exactly. You know, when you know better, you do better. And some people are just content in in the way they live.
Yeah, I like I said earlier, what has exhausted me is just trying to keep, my fraternity brothers up in prayer and keeping them motivated to keep on going every day. Because this doesn't affect me like it affects them.
Scott, this is a
And
personal question. Can I just ask what fraternity you're a part of?
the same one as Kyle.
Oh. I just had to know because I was hoping and praying that it wasn't a member of mine. So I'm thankful.
Yes, no disclaimers, please. I don't want no
Well, that's why I didn't say the name because I didn't want to have to have those disclaimers.
Yeah, you don't have to say the name. I was just hoping and
I,
praying that it
I
wasn't
don't,
mine.
I don't want to get any letters from Philadelphia.
yes, cease and desist.
Well, you know what? I might just send a letter to you. I'll send a letter. Yeah, there we go. I promise I won't.
Go ahead.
They're
So
gonna be
hold on.
like,
Well,
Sky,
going back to Breonna Taylor, right? Do you feel as though that the family settled when they received the $12 million?
What you mean by
So they
I
gave
feel like
12,
it gave him. I feel like it gave him some sort of relief.
but
relief?
money
You know,
doesn't. What money is
money.
not a relief. I mean,
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
money
want money.
can't.
I want justice,
Money,
but you still didn't get
money,
justice for your
money
child. You got
can't.
$12 million, but
Money
technically you
can't.
didn't.
Money can't bring back anybody, nor can it mend a broken heart that has been shattered to pieces like it had. However, if the money's not giving them some sort of relief, they would have gave it back.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No, I just said that
No.
$12 million. It seemed like I wouldn't even take. I wouldn't have taken it.
Well, that's you, Kenneth. That family, did she have a child?
But
No,
why?
Did
But
she have
why
a
not
child?
take? I mean, but
Why
listen,
why
why not?
can't I mean, she can take that money. That family could take that money and do what they want to do with that money. That
Yeah.
they were done unfair. Their daughter is
I
gone.
need him to explain to me why he would not take the money. Why would you not take the money?
you said why?
Why would you not take
But
the money?
here's
Okay,
my thing.
so
They
if
took
I
the money and
okay,
they were
so
still out there protesting.
Let him
Her family
explain
was
that.
still out there protesting. They
Sean,
don't
let
agree
him
with that
explain.
bullshit.
I let him explain because I feel like
I
civil
if
and
someone has
criminal.
if my child or someone in my if we got to say this, so if my child or was murdered by the hands of the police, and I'm fighting for justice, because in my heart we have seen this time after time that Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, all these, Sandra Bland, it seems like they throwing money at you, you taking the money, but there's no justice coming to it. These cops are never um well, we know not taking the money who have done nothing either, but in some black people were sitting up there saying that the family settled and they sold out once they got the money.
I don't think they sold out. And I like what Joyce Moore just said. I think it was a monetary apology because they knew they weren't going to get justice, and that goes back into you can't get justice if you don't change the law. You have to be able to change the law.
But I get that. Listen,
So Scott,
Daniel can't.
are you
Let me see. Let me
you're
say this.
familiar with the policies and procedures of changing laws, correct?
Right.
Okay. So
And I know it starts at the ballot box.
it absolutely does, because we have three systems of our, we have the legislative, executive, and our judicial system in our
Right.
government, right?
Right. Yep. And in
Legislative,
order to and
right? They write the bills. That's our Congress and Senate. They write the bills. Our
right.
executives,
And
they put it out, and the justice
and
systems
so
are to
and
enforce or make it
and
see
so
if
what
it's fair.
and so
Judicial
what
system.
we did here in California, because we didn't like the executive, um, because of what she was doing as Attorney General, who's now our VP nominee, we endorsed her to run for Senate, and then we changed the law and started letting nonviolent offenders out of prison that she locked up. That's how we were able to supersede that and get some justice here in California.
So you took her from DA to Senate.
We took her from being a signature to a vote out of 100.
Okay, so you saying people in California pretty much didn't want Kamala and as a DA, so they just say, all right, you go become a U.S. senator, which would give her
I'm saying
countrywide recognition and
I'm saying that
put her
Well,
on
you
the
know what? But
judicial committee, one of
I'm
the
saying
strongest committees in the United States
so
Senate.
look, this is what this
listen, that has you got to think about micro and macro. I'd rather have
right.
her out of the lives of day-to-day people and have because that's some more lives of day-to-day people.
But if
I'm
that's
not.
the case, you would not rather have her at all.
Let me tell
But
you.
that's not an option.
Let me tell you. And this goes back into the Democratic
Not an
Party.
option. People
When you
voted
are
for her.
welcome when you
There's
are
something right.
Because
welcoming
they wanted her. That's what I'm trying to get
There's
out.
no
something
no no
They
right
no.
with
wanted
something.
her. They wanted her.
Look, look,
He's trying to say
when
put
you
her in the U.S. Senate
when you
because they
are
wanted to kick her
entrenched,
out of the DA. No,
when
I
you
don't think so.
when you are entrenched in the Democratic Party, they will not throw your way if they see that they can use you as a tool. And I'm telling you this because I worked in the state capitol when she was attorney general, and that the legislators there were having a hard time getting prison reform through the attorney general's office. And so what they did, they do like they do in every other
So are
municipality
you
or state
saying that
government.
you're not saying
Hold
that the
on, let me
DA
let me
writes the
finish.
law?
Let me finish. They cut her a deal and said, "Look, we're going to support you for the Senate." And you know why she wanted the Senate seat? Because she's always wanted to be president. She's been running for president since she was DA of San Francisco. So of course she wouldn't mind going to DC and getting out of our way. And let me tell you, the first year that she was in Washington, we did prison reform and let over 10,000 nonviolent prisoners out of the state penitentiary here.
So pretty much they say, you know what, you can't be a DA, but we'll go put you as a U.S. senator, which gives
That's
her
the deal
a
that they
vote
cut.
out of two people in your state. She has a lot of say to what goes on, right or wrong.
She doesn't have a lot of say. It's 100
She
people in
doesn't
the
have a
Senate.
lot of say. She's a United States senator for the state
But
of
she does.
California, for one of the most populated state in the United States.
But you do realize that federal officials have no jurisdiction over states,
I get
right?
that. I get that. I do
And
realize
so,
that.
because
But they have
even
a
though
vote.
she
They have a
represents
vote
guys,
one vote,
let's not talk
They
over
have
each.
one vote for the United States to represent California.
They have one vote.
One.
They have
Well,
one
there's
vote,
two of them.
right?
There's two of them. So two.
But guess what? I would rather have her as that one vote versus the signature we need to let people that should not be in prison out. California.
I don't agree to that. She clearly had to be doing a somewhat okay job for her to be. You don't just go from a DA to a U.S. senator. It does not work that way in any political system.
But I mean, listen, I'm not agreeing with it. I just feel like anything it's possible. We've seen Sarah Palin, who I felt like was nowhere ready to be running as an EP nomination in any president.
She was from Alaska. That doesn't count.
But they coached
She
her.
could see Russia from her house.
But they coached her into that. She wasn't ready for that.
And look.
But Kamala's hands are not clean. Now, listen, I didn't.
Sure, definitely not.
Who hands are?
I get that.
Barack Obama.
Listen, all I know
Michelle Obama.
You go back and look at Kamala Harris's. Go back and look at Kamala Harris's 2008 campaign for Attorney General and realize that she was running against Steve Cooley, who was a Republican, the former DA of Los Angeles, who was one of the authors of the 3 Strikes Law that put people in prison for the rest of their life once they went to prison 3 times.
Sky, I have a question for you. Who's your current DA? Is it a female, black female, correct?
Yeah, Jackie Lacey, and her ass is about to get up out of here too.
Exactly. She has a little issue going on right now, correct?
Yeah, my friend is leading charge,
okay.
Jasmine Kennedy.
She has a little issue going on, correct?
We getting her ass up out of here.
What did her husband do?
Oh, her husband. I think her husband was rightfully so to pull that gun out on them.
Exactly. So she's involved in something right now too. I'm pretty much good up on my politics. She's involved in something right now.
Huh?
They came knocking at. They had protesters outside of their door, and her husband, the DA of California husband, came out with a gun and said, "Get the fuck off." I'm sorry, of LA, came out with a gun and said, "Get the fuck off my property." That's what he did.
So no, let me tell you. So
that's what he did.
So look, that's how.
And she is she's the DA of LA.
That is how the black community talks about it. Let me tell you what really happened. Black Lives Matter has been trying to
hear that from the black community. I heard that from
So look, the Black Lives Matter Los Angeles has been protesting outside of her downtown LA office.
And why were they protesting, Sky?
Can I finish?
I'm about to mute you.
I want the whole story.
I'm gonna give you the whole story. So they have been protesting outside of her downtown LA office. Why? They want to talk to her about the police killings on black and brown people in LA. She has refused.
That's still going on.
She has refused to meet with them, right? So what they did, they took the protest to her house, right?
Yes, they did.
Which they do that to the mayor also. But let me tell you where I think they crossed the line. Because when you protest,
You're supposed to protest on the sidewalk or in the street. But as soon as you step onto somebody's porch and knock on the door, all bets is off.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So when
her
you knock
husband
on
was
someone,
rightfully so. Her
That you
husband was rightfully. When you knock on somebody's door at 5:30 in the fucking morning, and you are a cop, which she is, she's LA County's top cop as the district attorney. She has the right to protect her property.
did she put out a statement saying that he may not have did the right thing?
She put out a statement because that's what she has to do. That's what she has to do as an elected official, not as her job.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know. She put out a
Yeah.
statement and pretty much said what her husband did, pulling that gun out on the peaceful protesters who didn't have any weapons
Sky.
and were
But
pulled weapons against them.
were they on the sidewalk in front of the door, or they was literally up on like pavement, like near
No,
like
so
the front door?
they were protesting on the
They were
sidewalk.
on lawn.
But listen.
They were on her lawn.
They was
Scott,
they was
I'm aware of the story.
no, they was protesting on the sidewalk. But when she wouldn't come out, they went and knocked on her door.
So
here's my question, Scott.
By law, hold up.
When Kamala becomes our first female vice president, will this new DA be the next U.S. senator in California?
No.
Okay. That was what I was trying to get to.
Can you let Kenny say what? I don't know.
I'm sorry, Kenny.
No, you fine. I was
Let
going
him say what you about to say.
No, I was about to say by law, you own everything up from your door, from the steps all the way up to your front door. That's what you own technically. You don't own the sidewalk and the street.
Well, she has a lawn in front of her house, so you
can't even step on the grass.
But that's like if someone is like outside of my house, like right now, they walking, they like on the pavement, they outside or whatever. But soon they want to start sitting up on your steps or up on your lawn, like, yo, can you get up? And they don't want to get up. You can call the cops because number one, you're on private property, you're on my property. You're on my steps, you're on the lawn. You're causing a ruckus, you're destroying property. I ask you to leave. Now, if you want to protest, you can protest peacefully all you want. But don't come up and start knocking on my door, banging on my door, and aggravating me in my home now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. I just feel like, okay, first of all, this isn't about Kamala. Let's get off Kamala.
I guess because we need these votes for Joe Biden to get Trump out of the office. And it's another black lady that's she just put her bid in to run for president. She's running independent.
Who is this?
Let me pull her up. And she's out here, and I've told one of my friends, I said, stop promoting her because people want to see another person, and this is a vote. She's not going to win the election, number one, but people will vote for her in spite of not voting for Trump or not voting for Biden.
So
I
don't know if you guys can see this, but look, they're protesting in front of my house when I was an elected official. You see, they did not step on my grass. They already knew. They step on the grass, all bets is off. They are to remain on the sidewalk. And they know.
Was that an actual protest in front of your house?
Yes, it was. I was an elected official also.
Oh my God, Sean, what do you have against Sky? Because he coming at Sky like crazy.
Listen,
I don't have anything against anyone.
Look,
I'm just sometimes very adamant about how
But I just don't understand why we can't all come together.
And it comes off as a little harsh. And I apologize for that, but I am a very adamant person when it comes to politics.
And yes, they were protesting in front of my house. And yes, I used to lead protests as a union organizer.
My name is Jade Simmons.
I'm gonna have to look it out.
So they stayed on your sidewalk, Sky?
Yep.
Okay. So
and you know what? And I was so bold. I went outside, and that's when I got the tape. And I said, "Look, I just came out to make sure y'all stay on the sidewalk. Because if y'all touch my grass, all bets is off.
All bets are off.
Simple as that. All bets is off."
So what would that be? Like that would be like
nope. We're not getting into hypotheticals. Let's round this out. So what's the final thing we want to say about what does justice look like? We didn't talk about the money.
Justice looks like you going out there to vote on November the 3rd. If you really want some justice, you need to go vote.
That's one thing I agree with, Sky.
Vote down the ballot.
Maybe the only thing, but go out and vote.
I feel like it's voting, but I also feel like
there's a lot more than
we need to disrupt the things that we are seeing. The political game, like Daniel Cameron, and I guess him marrying McConnell's niece or something like that. You know, it's all these things like.
So we should have went to the wedding and protest.
Well, you know what? I don't know how to feel when
I'm down, Kyle. Let's go. Sky, you coming with us?
I'm there. Listen.
Sky, you coming with us to the protest?
The who?
Are you coming with us to the protest, Sky?
What protest?
Against Mr. Cameron. He's going to go protest in Kentucky.
No, I actually sent him a Instagram message and told him to stay strong, keep his head up, and keep pushing forward.
Oh, Jesus. Oh.
Scott, are you not worried about Scott every time
Scott? And you
Scott scrolling away.
Scott,
no, look.
Any of the
because guess what?
We don't know what.
Guess what?
Daniel, it's too premature. You telling him to keep his head up. He might have been the reason why we're in the situation now. Look, this is what
we cannot crucify Daniel Cameron because of everybody that came before him. He was just put in office in January. He just got there.
Yeah, but an inability.
You can't blame the system on him.
No. An inability to say something or do something does not absolve you from being responsible. He should be
to present all the evidence. Present all the evidence. He's responsible.
I'm pretty sure you guys were also pissed off that he decided to go ahead and get married in the midst of all this, right? Like he was supposed to put his marriage on hold too.
Daniel Cameron. I wasn't pissed that he was that he got married. Now I did feel some kind of way when I saw the engagement pictures and he was the only person of color there. But hey, that's a preference. If that's what he loved, I like it. Okay, go for it.
Who did he marry? Did he marry Karen?
Okay, everyone is not a. Let me put
he married Mitch McConnell's great granddaughter.
That's a Karen. She's a Karen.
Oh, she's Karen. Okay.
Please forgive me. Please forgive me.
I'd rather say Becky than Karen.
Oh, she's a Becky then.
Yes, because
Karen. I thought her name was Karen. Though, seriously. I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to say that because of what they call Karens and stuff. I really thought her name was Karen.
But I the reason I reached out to him and I said what I said in my Instagram message.
Were you trying to get invited to the wedding, Sky?
No. I think that we forget that just because these folks are elected into these positions, these are real people and they have real feelings. They have a job to do.
What it is,
and whether we agree with the job or not, it's their job to do it.
Well, hold on. Can I just say this about that? What you just said. Just because that this is your job and you have a job to do, my thing is that this is your job. You know right from wrong. So that's like me and my job. If I know that something is wrong, and you want to tell me that I have to do it because it's my job, I'm going to speak up on it. What happened to Breonna Taylor should not have happened. And my whole thing is by these other elected officials out here who are claiming that they're doing their job and they are seeing innocent black men and women and black boys and girls being murdered and no justice are coming to them or their family. It needs to stop. My thing is you have to have empathy. You have to have some type of common ground. I don't care if you black, white, Democrat, Republican, whatever. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And my thing is like that video said, if it was your child in this position, you would want justice for your child.
I have a hypothetical question for you.
Now I have a question. I have something to say. So we noticed that. Wait 1 second, Scott. We noticed that Daniel married Mitch McConnell's granddaughter or whatever. You don't think Mitch was in Daniel's ear anything about this case at all? Just answer that.
Yeah, he probably was. He's a former attorney too, so I'm pretty sure he bounced stuff off.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure they was talking.
And Trump was probably in Mitch's ear, and Mitch was in his ear. And
this is my hypothetical.
That's how they went off of the evidence.
This is my hypothetical question.
And our fair, just criminal or just the system?
Tomorrow,
Okay.
tomorrow, Trump does a press conference.
I'll watch your back. You watch mine.
No, look.
I'll watch yours.
Trump,
you watch mine. That's how that works.
Trump holds a press conference tomorrow, and he
And
directs
hold
the
on, here we go,
FBI.
Kyle, right now. 27th Gerard, multiple gunshots is shot.
That has nothing to do with Breonna. They're gonna find them, I'm sure. Okay, and hold them accountable.
So hypothetically, Trump does a press conference tomorrow, and he directs the FBI to investigate and prosecute the murders of Breonna Taylor, and they get a prosecution. Trump wins re-election. I bet you all these black activists go vote for him.
Just
yes
because
or no?
Just because you.
But what was the smart word when you said black activists? Are you don't consider yourself a black activist?
No.
What was that?
No. But I'm not. I don't do activism anymore.
Aren't you black?
I'm black.
But
You're
he's
black,
not.
And you work in your community, right? And you work in your community, right?
But I don't just. I'm not just an
something going on
activist for
with
black
your.
people.
But
am I going in there?
But I mean, to be a black activist, you don't have to be just for black people.
But that's where your
cases are happening for black people. I mean, but activists is for anybody. I mean,
yeah,
it should be about
all sorts of activists.
Exactly. You don't have. It doesn't have to be just for black people. It could just be for fairness for all people.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
and that's
for all people.
That's the problem with the black community. Listen, you let me get gunned down in the street, there won't be an LGBT flag. I will have no gay people out here campaigning for me, marching for me.
Kyle, this is the thing. If you got gunned down in the street, they be like, God damn, Kyle got gunned down. And somebody be like, he was gay, or he was probably hitting on somebody. That's probably what happened. What's next? That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Yes, it is, because I was engaged.
I wouldn't let them.
Hold on.
I wouldn't let them do that.
Hold on. I was engaged to a police officer 7 years ago, and he was gunned down in the streets 7 years ago around this time in the city of Philadelphia. And my thing is that when it came out on TV, the first thing they said, "Oh, he must have been going to meet up with somebody. What is he doing out this time and I come home from work? Oh, he's gay."
That's not what they said. That is not what they said.
Yes, they did.
No, that is not what they said. I'm very up on that case and know exactly what you're talking about. And that is not what they said. But go ahead.
Yes, it was, because I was there. I had to come to the police station multiple times to give statements because I was the last person he was on the phone with. But everybody kept on talking about it, all on social media. Oh, he's gay. He was going to meet up with some.
It did come out that he was gay. It came out and people knew. I actually know someone who was pretty cool with him. But I don't think that it came out that they just came out that he was gay. But I don't think it came out what was he doing out there. He probably wasn't doing something he wasn't supposed to. I don't think that was the story.
I mean,
how you gonna tell this man that was in the same bed with him what the damn story was? Was you sleeping with him?
Well, first of all, I have firsthand knowledge. I was not sleeping with him, but I do have
your knowledge is more firsthand than the guy that he was engaged.
No, it's not. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying, Scott. What I'm saying is that I know plenty of people involved in the story, in the situation, and that it was said that he was gay. That did come out. I'm agreeing to him with that.
I agree, but the guy
around the rumor mill in Philadelphia,
the person that has firsthand knowledge
Scott,
is the one that was
in and out.
The person that has firsthand knowledge of the situation is the person that was sharing the bed.
Well, he said social media, and
listen, we got it.
And stuff. I didn't see any or hear any of that.
Oh, I can pull it up. I got all this. I still have the stuff.
So listen. What is that?
I don't know. It sounds like the Antichrist or something just came. Is the alien coming in?
What is that you,
Somebody doesn't want us to talk. It's probably Sky in the background.
What is that? I'm gonna mute. I don't know what that is. Sky, I think that's your background. I just muted you. I don't know what I'm hearing, but hold on. Yeah, we're hearing feedback and static. Okay. Are you there? We can't hear you. Hello? Yeah, you might have to come back out and come back in. Yeah, come back out and come back in. Yeah. So we're gonna have Sky come back in.
Sean, I put the damn curse on him.
So again, what do we have to say?
Don't
How do
say
we
that,
close?
Kenny.
How do we close out? How do we close?
Sean is bad.
How do we close this out?
Sean
With
is not. I'm not bad. Sean is not a bad person. I'm just very adamant about a lot of anything that I have any knowledge on or any type of way that I feel. I'm not a bad person. I'm actually a great person, and
No, I don't think you're a bad person at all. No.
We're all passionate. I think we all. That's why
Sean is an angry black man.
Oh, exactly. Coming from Kyle, I'll accept that. Coming from a Trump supporter, I'll take that. I'm mad as hell. I'm an angry black gay man. But guess what? I'm going to do something about it because I love being black.
Amen. Amen. All right.
I
So
love being black. I love it.
On that note, about Breonna Taylor, this has been a very riveting discussion. I think this was like the perfect balance of conservative, liberal. I mean, we really touched on a lot of issues in the black community.
We have Sky, our far
no,
right to Sky.
No attacks. Everybody here, I don't care opinion. I love having us come together. You know, Sky, you and I we've had quite a few conversations like this. So, all are entitled to our opinion, and it's all love. It's not personal.
We are.
For those that are watching this, again, Black people are monolithic. We can be who we want, express ourselves how we want. We are not, all fit in one box. I mean, we're just phenomenal.
Right.
So whether you want to be an activist or you want to be a politician or you want to be a hybrid like Sky, listen, we can get it done. Because Sky, you're an activist too. I don't care what you say.
Hey, can I make one more note?
Can I just say one final statement
about y'all future vice president?
Sky,
Go ahead.
Oh my God! Here we go, Kamala again. You know what?
Well, I'm just going. I had to put this out there because it's one of our friends who's part of a sorority that's in the Divine Nine, and she's always shouting out Kamala Harris. But guess what? Kamala Harris on mention.
Is she a member of Kamala's sorority?
Yes, and Kamala Harris does not mention her organization in her official bio. So how black is that? Boom.
She's what? I didn't hear that. She's a member of Kamala Harris?
Yeah.
Okay.
If Kamala Harris loves y'all so much, why she don't mention her organization who she says she loves?
I mean, we need to stop criticizing
her for. Kamala mentioned her organization when she spoke at the DNC.
Because she wants them votes.
You just said she don't mention it. She's mentioned it. And the members of her organization have come out in numbers and have supported her.
Go ahead and go to her Senate website and read her bio, and it says nothing about her organization.
Well, what does that have to do with her running?
Being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha has to do with her being.
And you gonna mention the organization's name? Now they'll have a lawsuit.
It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with it. You won't even say your organization's name tonight.
Because I ain't trying to get no cease and desist letter.
We don't have to.
You won't even mention your organization names tonight.
Because we don't have to. Listen.
So she doesn't need them. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Listen. All right. So thank you all for joining us.
On my final note, I just would like to say I would like for everyone to get out and vote November 3rd. If you're listening and you have a mobile access to take someone to the polls, definitely do that.
John Lewis
definitely get out and vote, and tell a friend to go out and vote. And if you live in California and you happen to know Sky, make sure you don't step on his grass, but definitely stay on the sidewalk and go out there and
No,
protest.
just stay in the
And
street. Stay in the
always,
street.
like
Just
John Lewis,
cross
I'm
the
going to
street
say,
up past his
always
house.
getting some, like John Lewis said, always getting some good trouble. I love my black people. I love you guys. And that is it. That is all.
I got 110. I got 110-pound Akita that lives inside and out. So you step on my grass, it's a wrap. But yeah,
Well, they
I
won't step on
thoroughly.
your grass. They'll stay on the sidewalk. But make sure you have your signs and scream as loud, and your bullhorns and scream as loud as possible. And if you need me, I'm only a flight away.
It's so funny because when they came to protest, this was Memorial Day, so I went outside and started barbecuing.
Listen, y'all,
and there were probably members of your organization out there.
All right, Thank you guys. So okay,
they were all white, so they have to be members of yours.
So Ken, you got anything? Any closing remarks?
Just get out and vote.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna say get out of Philly?
No, why would you have to get out of Philly? What we getting out of Philly for? I'm not letting nobody run me out of my city.
No, because you just be like, oh my God, the murders and this and that stuff.
But it's crazy all over. It doesn't matter where you're going. The violence is starting to get crazy all over. It doesn't even matter. I'm not one of those typical. I'm not a typical gay black man that's saying I'm over Philly. I'm moving to Atlanta. That's not even the case.
That's what I needed to hear from you. Ooh. That's what I needed to hear.
No shade, but that's what they're doing.
That's what I needed to hear because let me tell you something.
Not all of them. Some of them are staying in Philadelphia and doing great things.
When black people
hold up in New York, and they saying people from New York is starting to move to Philadelphia. No wonder we got all these damn New Yorkers here.
All right. Well, thank you.
Kenny sound like somebody mad grandma.
All right.
I'm on here. Look, I'm planning a menu for a wedding, so I'm sitting up here doing a wedding and talking to y'all too. So I'm like, look, whatever.
All right. Well, thank
Kenny,
you guys.
I may need you to do something for me, but I'll get in contact with you.
Yes, do it. Let's go. Yes, I was on Jimmy Kimmel. Y'all see me with John
Have
Legend?
a good night, everyone. Even you, Sky. Have a good night.
Yes, definitely.
My mic.
Because all this, you guys Shameless Flex. He talk about weddings. Thank y'all so much. We're gonna end on how Breonna Taylor's mother, her last remarks about her darling baby girl.
Oh, I can't listen. I can't watch that. That's going to have me all of my feelings.
Thank you guys. We'll chat soon. All right.
The officer who told a lie to obtain a search warrant failed her. The judge who signed the search warrant failed her. The terrorist who broke down her door failed her. The system as a whole has failed her. You didn't just rob me of my family. You robbed the world of a queen. A queen willing to do a job that most of us could never stomach to do. A queen willing to build up anyone around her. A queen who is starting to pave her path. I hope you never have to know the pain of knowing your child is in need and help and you're not able to give them. I hope you never hear the sounds of hearing someone cry and beg for your child to get help and she never receives help. Those cries was ignored. I hope you never know the pain of your child being murdered 191 days in a row. Tamika Palmer.